Good morning, everyone. My name is Wildfire. I'm the superintendent for Jasper National Park. Just a few items to update you on. The fire is currently at about 33,000 hectares. It's being held. We've been fortunate that the weather over the last number of days has been cool and rainy at times. So we've been making really good progress, and that's what's allowed us to change the rating to held. As of this morning, the Yellowhead Highway is now open fully 24 hours a day. We've also made some progress on some other areas. The Miat Hot Springs was opened to the public yesterday. Most owners have access to their outlying commercial accommodation areas, those referred to the bungalows and the various different cabin groups. We anticipate over the next short time that we're going to be able to exclude some of them from the closure if that's what they choose, so that they can start having full access for contractors and other needs that they might have to get into their place to ensure that they can start the recovery process. With respect to 93 North, also known as Icefields Parkway, we're doing some final works on that highway, on that parkway, to ensure that we can get it open in the next hopefully 2 to 3 days. There's some debris on the highway from the gate that was burned down at the initial part of the fire, so that has to be cleaned up. There's some other debris along the highway. The danger trees assessments have been done partially, and we have to complete that. A lot of the regulatory signs were burnt as well, so we're trying to address that as well on a temporary basis. So we understand that the Icefields Parkway is an important route for many residents, many business operators, and that will be a high priority for us, or it is a high priority for us. And we're also working on the Pyramid Lake, Patricia Lake area to open it up for residents in particular to be able to have areas to recreate in, and also so that those commercial accommodations can get back to business as well. So I think I'll leave it at that and turn it over to the municipality. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Christine Nadon. I'm the incident commander for the Municipality of Jasper. As Superintendent Fair indicated, the fire was called being held, and therefore we've lifted any and all evacuation provisions for the town site a few days ago. We've also lifted the checkpoints at the entrances to Jasper this morning in conjunction with Highway 16 reopening for 24/7 travel. Having that said, re-entry is for residents and business owners currently, and the contractors and support services that are helping them. So Jasper is still not ready to welcome visitors. We appreciate your patience as we work to resume our services and rebuild our community, and we will let you know when we're ready to accommodate visitors. Things are going well on the re-entry front. We have lots of our residents back in the community. The Red Cross has handed out about 1,500 cleaning buckets, so those are available at our re-entry center, which is located at Commemoration Park. So residents who are coming back to their homes are welcome to come there, get some supports. They can also sign up for sifting with Team Rubicon. So if you've lost your property, we've registered about 165 property owners who want to benefit from that service. So they're currently assessing the safety of the sites, and we'll be beginning with that in coming days. We've had about 670 people stop by the insurance companies, which are also located at Commemoration Center. So to speak with insurers, get some adjusters to your property and make sure everything is working as it should. We've picked up a total of 500 appliances so far, so we have a service available for residents. You can go online, register for pickup, and it's very important to not put your fridges or coolers out in the community right now. There is wildlife, they are looking for food, and we need to make sure we control those attractants. So please avail yourselves of that service and make sure you don't create more problems. ATCO has relit about 604 homes so far. AHS is running the hospital. Our emergency room is functional. There are no disruptions expected. There are also mental health services available at Commemoration Park. It's a difficult time for Jasperites to return to the community, so please go and speak with someone or call 211. Telecoms are going great, not too many issues. And since we've pulled the checkpoints at the entrances to town, we now have reassigned our RCMP help to the town site, so to make sure there's more patrols, and a reminder to residents to stay outside of the fenced areas. Those are hazardous areas. Team Rubicon is happy to help you out. You should go sign up if you'd like them to sift your property. You need proper PPE. There are hazards out there, so very important for residents and everyone else to stay outside of those zones unless you're equipped and authorized to do so. So this is the update from the municipality's perspective. We're happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Just get you to spell your name and your say what your
Yes. My name is Christine Nadon, CHRISTINE Nadon, and I am the incident commander for the Municipality of Jasper.
Are we able to talk about the instability of the slopes? Oh, sorry. Okay.
Well, unless anyone else has a statement, I think we're there.
Yeah, just about the instability of the slope. How big of a concern is that, and whoever can comment on that?
That's more personal,
Thank you for the question. Anytime there's been a fire of this magnitude, this heat level, there's always a concern about slope stability afterwards. We will be engaging geotechnical expertise to do some of the assessments in the key priority areas to look at those particular issues in short order.
How are you managing potential visitors trying to come in, maybe people that shouldn't be trying to come in? What's the step-by-step process to make sure that there's no unwelcome visitors?
Well, I can speak from the parks side. I'll let the municipality speak to on the town matter. Currently, the park is under a closure. And that's a closure means it's an area closure. That means it's a law that's been put into place that people are expected to adhere to. As we open up areas, and we're trying to open up areas as quickly as we can, the closure will be changed to allow for that. So like currently, the Yellowhead Highway, Miette Road, Miette area, all of those areas have been opened as corridors. The backcountry areas have not yet been opened up for a variety of reasons. In some cases, we just haven't been able to have a chance to assess tree damage and other road issues. But also, we need to make sure that we have the appropriate emergency services in place, including visitor safety teams that are able to provide assistance as is expected in a national park.
question for Mayor Ireland, if I may. Oh, you have more. Here, please.
If I can follow up on the question regarding visitors. So we have a strong RCMP presence in town right now, and they are patrolling and they are interacting with folks and a bit on a public relations mission to approach people and speak with them and sort of figure out if they don't look like they're residents and they shouldn't be there, or they're not a service provider that are helping businesses or visitors to resume occupancy or business continuity, that they are directed to move on. So there is no checkpoint at the entrance of the community, but there is strong RCMP patrol with clear directives on that front. And just a reminder to visitors that there are no hotels, there are no restaurants, there are no businesses open, and we do need the space to get our residents and our businesses back on their feet. So we ask you for your kindness and respect in that. And if you do show up in town, you can expect to be intercepted by an RCMP officer.
Have you ran into anybody like that, or quite a bit, or not really?
People have been very good so far. We lifted the checkpoint at 5 a.m. this morning, so we're still in the early stages of allowing broader re-entry. And the reason we did this is because we really need those service providers to come and help our residents, help our community, and managing entry while trying to manage all these contractors is very difficult from a logistical standpoint. So that is why we lifted the checkpoint. But like I said, strong RCMP presence, and they are very kind, they are very compassionate, but they will approach you and sort of suggest that maybe now is not the time to visit Jasper just yet.
Yeah, but Mayor Ireland, just wondering, residents first were able to get in on Friday and have a look. It's been kind of had the weekend to kind of absorb what they're seeing and what they're starting to deal with. And just what has your experience been in kind of over the weekend as more and more people are able to actually get in there and get cleaning and get looking at what's happening here?
There is such a range of conflicting emotion. People have, of course, returned. As they first entered the town, as I heard from so many residents on Friday, their first emotion was one of relief and gratitude. They were met at the entrance to the town by our local fire department, who had an aerial truck there with a banner saying "Welcome back," and they were greeted by those fire department members, the RCMP, Parks Canada staff, municipal staff, with a genuine welcome back. And it was the first time so many of our residents had an opportunity to show appreciation for the very people who made re-entry possible as quickly as they did. So they entered. There were, of course, tears, but initially those were tears of gratitude for those who allowed this re-entry to happen. But then the other conflicting emotions soon followed. So people had, for the first time, for many of them, an opportunity to confront what was their worst nightmare. And so they're going through that element of grief, and we can acknowledge that they're all at different stages of that, and there are progressions through grief. Some, of course, will find relief in finding that their business or their residence is still standing, and they assess the damage. So all of those emotions are real, they're all valid, and they are competing. But people understand that we have to move forward. People were anxious for re-entry, but they were anxious to share that experience privately, and that is why the decision was made that they would have that opportunity. For some, it will still be too early, but there are others who have now assessed the damage, and they're at a point where they want to start moving forward with rebuilding their lives, their businesses, reestablishing their dreams. And so the decision has been made to allow them that opportunity, to allow others to come into town who will assist our residents in that rebuilding. So I appreciate the question. There is a really delicate balance to be maintained, because not everybody can progress at the same rate. But realistically, for some, the rebuilding has to begin, and we should not stand in the way of that. So that's where we're at today.
Mayor Allen, how are you doing?
I'm still standing. I am in the same spot as so many of my residents, but I've had perhaps a little longer to process it. I had an opportunity to visit early. I've had some weeks to attempt to process my family's loss, but I'm not alone. I know so many people who have suffered similar, and in some cases greater losses, people who have lost their family homes, who have lost their family business. It is so tragic. And so I'm there to do what I can to support my community generally, and those individuals who might call on me for support. That's where I'm at.
Christine, I know like last week in your update you mentioned that you didn't want Jasperites to return all at once. You were asking folks to kind of stay for over the weekend. Can you just speak to how those numbers were over the weekend, and how much more you potentially maybe expect for today?
Thank you for the question. We've We've seen quite a few people return on day one. There was a bit of a lineup at the gate on Friday morning, which the Parks Canada team did a great job of cycling those people through, and it was very smooth. And then after that, they've been sort of slowly trickling in. I think we had an estimate of about between 300 and 500 people show up at the re-entry center the first day, and then those numbers have kind of been steadily dropping. As Mayor Ireland outlined, we do know that some residents have not returned yet for various reasons. They might be located far away from Jasper, or they may not be ready to return, and we're extending our re-entry services at least until August 29th, and that's not to say that it couldn't be modified or continued after that. So residents out there that still haven't returned, don't worry, we got you. We will stay open, and we will get you those resources when you get there. And it hasn't really been a problem. A big influx on the first day, sort of steady after that, but we've been very much able to accommodate and happy to see people returning to the community. And from a incident management and re-entry perspective, a lot of it occurs naturally and organically when people are back. People will find their own solutions, will identify problems, they will raise them with us, and we can facilitate that. For example, we have an area of town that was fenced off completely because the neighborhood was very affected. So we've heard from residents that they couldn't access their homes to go see the rubble and those destroyed properties. So we're facilitating tours so people can sign up, and we will accompany them in there in a structured fashion so they can go there. So we're still very much ready to respond, ready to meet our residents' needs. And it's hard to tell how many came back, how many didn't. I know a lot of them came, assessed the situation, and went back to their accommodations as we suspected. So their homes weren't necessarily ready for occupancy, but at least getting in there gave them a chance to talk to their adjusters, see the damages for themselves, and start working towards remediation.
Where are you in finding a temporary housing solution for those who don't want to travel all the way from, let's say, Edmonton to Cedar?
Right, so we also have a plan in place for residents without transportation. So some of our evacuees that are in reception centers in Calgary and Edmonton may not have their own vehicles. So this week there is bus transportation organized to get them to Jasper, and these people are not checking out of their accommodation in the city, just in case when they get to Jasper, if they can't spend the night at their home or apartment or whatever the case may be, that they can return, but they can make that decision on the spot and decide to stay if that's what they want to. I didn't do that. And I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
It was just about a temporary housing.
Yes, so the temporary housing piece, we have a Jasper, Alberta, Canada intergovernmental recovery committee, I think. So that is comprised of Parks Canada officials, Government of Alberta officials, as well as Town of Jasper officials, and a very collaborative effort there to bring everyone at the table, the funding, the resources, and I can't speak directly to that effort as I'm not directly involved in it, but absolutely that is in the plans. And the recovery piece in the meantime that we're working on is that housing for the period in between. So hotels in Jasper are in the process of getting back online, so we're working with them to assess what kind of availability or inventory they might be able to provide. Certainly anyone involved in the response is something that we're working on internally, so Parks Canada staff, Municipality of Jasper staff that need to return and help with recovery. So all those are in the works, but unfortunately at this time, if you don't have a home to go to in Jasper, you still need to either stay in a reception center, rely on the Red Cross services, or if you're working the incident, be housed as part of our systems. But those are not in place yet, but work is very active on that front.
What about when it comes to tourists and whatnot? So first part of the question, did you have people come back that were at the hotel at the time, or maybe some people that were, temporary residents, they just moved here and they were about to start a job that maybe didn't leave with everything or whatnot?
Right, so we did have some documentation retrieval going on in the last approximately 2 weeks ago, so I want to say that's been completed. So some visitors who left Jasper during the evacuation in a hurry and didn't necessarily bring their luggage or their passports or their important documents, so that has been resolved a little while ago. And in terms of our temporary workers, I think a lot of them are in our reception centers right now. So if you were in Jasper for the summer working, you may not have had the support network or the transportation to live at a friend's house or something like that. So a lot of those are still attached to their employers. So their employers are looking after them and ensuring that they're living in reasonable conditions. And my understanding is that a lot of those are folks in the reception centers in Calgary and Edmonton. And then whether their staff accommodation is ready for them to return to or not, or whether they still have a job, depending on their employer's situation and whether they can resume business or not. That's something that's being handled by our emergency support services crew, as well as the business owners themselves.
What's the reality? I mean, it's hard to tell right now, but from what you've seen, you know, what can you tell people that maybe plan on coming here in middle of September? Who knows, like, how close do you think this town could be to even at least partially open up to tourists?
So we're working very closely with our partners at Tourism Jasper, and they have their finger on the pulse of mostly hotels and tourism attractions and how those people are doing. And we don't have that information at this time. These guys are just returning to their businesses in the last week or so to try to assess damages, and the remediation in a lot of cases is significant, so will take time. And also staffing, relating to your previous question, for a hotel to operate, they need their staff. Where are they staffed? Have they departed the area? Are they coming back? Where are they going to live? So that's all questions and issues that those guys are working through right now. And we'll certainly be sure to work with Tourism Jasper when the time, when we're ready to welcome visitors. We will communicate as much, and that will be in collaboration with Tourism Jasper.
Any idea how many people have been able to stay in town over the weekend, kind of thing?
I don't know, but I think I mentioned something like 650 relights from ACO, area of 600. So that means those homes would have gas service. Most areas of Jasper have water right now. There are a few pockets in the residential neighborhoods in the deeply affected area where we're setting up temporary supply. But if people have potable water and gas for hot water, and there's no significant damage to their property, I think those Jasperites are in their homes, but we don't have a good grasp on numbers on that.
Could you repeat what you said about the opening of Highway 16, but in French, and also maybe talk about how the re-entry is going also in French, please?
But what about my colleagues who want to say things? Non, it's all good. Oui, donc on a réouvert l'autoroute 16 ce matin à 5 heures pour le trafic. Il n'y aura plus d'interruption. Donc, c'est ouvert 7 jours par semaine, 24 heures par jour. On a aussi enlevé les points de contrôle à l'entrée de Jasper, mais on demande aux visiteurs de nous donner une chance de retourner en ville, puis de laisser aux résidents et aux entreprises de pouvoir travailler sur leur bâtisse et s'assurer qu'on peut être prêt à recevoir les visiteurs. Donc, on n'est pas encore là, mais on avait besoin d'enlever du contrôle un peu pour s'assurer que les contracteurs et les gens qui viennent aider nos résidents et nos entreprises de pouvoir avoir accès puis de nous aider à le plus rapidement possible revenir un peu plus à la normale. Donc, c'est ouvert, mais c'est toujours pas la bienvenue aux visiteurs dans ce sens-là. Puis, on a aussi la GRC est en ville, ils font beaucoup de patrouilles, puis ils s'assurent que c'est seulement les résidents et les entreprises et les gens qui sont là pour les aider qui sont en ville. Donc, pour les visiteurs qui pensent qu'ils peuvent peut-être s'aventurer, vous pouvez vous attendre à avoir la GRC qui va avoir une petite discussion avec vous. Puis, au point de vue des gens qui sont revenus à Jasper, donc tout va bien. On a beaucoup de nos résidents qui sont revenus. Il y a à peu près 1500 personnes qui sont allées chercher un seau avec des produits nettoyants qui sont offerts par la Croix-Rouge. Il y a plus de 600 personnes qui ont parlé à nos compagnies d'assurance. On a 12 compagnies d'assurance qui sont situées au parc Commémoration à Jasper. Donc, les gens de Jasper qui reviennent à la maison, venez nous voir. Il y a du café, il y a vos voisins, il y a tous les services dont vous aurez besoin pour bien réintégrer la communauté. Puis, pas tout le monde est revenu, c'est pas tout le monde qui est prêt, qui est rendu là. Puis, on va être là, on va vous attendre. Les services vont être disponibles au minimum jusqu'au 29 août, mais ça risque de continuer. On va être là pour nos résidents, peu importe quand ils seront prêts à revenir.
Christine, sorry, I just wanted to go back to the question about visitors that you were mentioning earlier. Since the checkpoint has been removed since 5 a.m., can you tell me again how many people have tried to enter Jasper, like maybe over the weekend, and are RCMP like prepared to target or arrest folks that go?
Well, so like the checkpoint was lifted at 5 a.m. this morning, so I don't have current data on how many people may have been approached or tried to get in there when they shouldn't. And having that said, there is no checkpoint, so getting hard numbers on that would be very difficult. And I'll simply reiterate what I said earlier, where we still have a very strong RCMP presence. They were at those checkpoints. They are now in town. Very strong presence there, high level of patrols, and if people are just driving around looking like they don't really belong there, you can expect to be accosted might be the wrong word, kindly asked to have a chat with an RCMP member and be directed to move on. So all areas of the highway, it's still no stopping on the highway. There are no pullouts, there are no outhouses. The directive for visitors is very much to carry on through to BC if that's where you're going, or come to Alberta. We want to facilitate that traffic, but now is not the time for visitors to come to Jasper. We're simply not ready to welcome you. And we will be sure to communicate that broadly in collaboration with our tourism partners when the time comes. We will need visitors to return to Jasper to help us drive our economy and support our businesses and support our residents, but we are not there yet.
Question to the fire chief, if I may.
We have time for 2 more questions. Has anybody not had an opportunity to ask a question?
That would like to.
That would like to?
Just before you grab one, I just wanted to add a response. This incident, catastrophe for our town, has been recognized by so many people across Canada as just that. And I will say that the feedback that we have got from Canadians indicates that they fully understand that we are not in a position to welcome them now. So a post went out at 5 o'clock this morning. The really respectful, sensitive responses that I have seen are an acknowledgement that visitors perfectly understand the nature of the disaster. And I do not think that we will be overwhelmed with voyeurism. People respect that our community is suffering. They respect that we need time to recover. And they understand as well that the visitor economy, unlike other industries, is so highly dependent on a labor force. And that if we don't first look after our residents who provide that labor force, the visitors will not be able to come back. And so I think, in fairness, my anticipation would be that as respectful as visitors have shown themselves to be, we can continue to expect that from them. And when we are able to say that we are now prepared to welcome them back, they will come back. They've signaled that they will. In the meantime, they understand the situation that we're going through. They understand that our residents have to get reestablished to be able to provide the services that visitors are accustomed to. And so I appreciate your question, but I think that it will, in a sense, be self-managed by the respectful nature of the visitors that we have always attracted to our community, and we are so looking forward to welcoming them back when we are properly able to do so. Turn it back.
Yes. So, yeah, for Fire Chief, and is it Conte or Conte, your last name?
It's Conti.
Conte. Okay. Walk-up music. I'm just wondering, it's such a simple thing, the label of, for us to see the label of the fire going from out of control to under control. But there's so much work that goes into making that happen. I just wonder, can you kind of tell us kind of what it means for your crews to have that change and to have that a little bit of control in this situation?
Well, first I'll just clarify, fire is not under control at this time. It's being held, so just words matter there.
Yep.
But yeah, it is a pretty significant event. We're not expecting any future growth or any threat to the municipality at this time, so it does allow us to actually help plan for re-entry, get those residents kind of situated and kind of a normalcy back to their lives, and get their insurance matters taken care of. So it does allow us to plan for that a lot better. It also helps kind of alleviate the pressures on the wildfire crews that are still out there working on the line as well, so they're not being as direct right now, and able to get some time off and some rest and recovery.
I was going to say, how important is that to, it's been sort of like full on for weeks for you guys until this point. How important is it to be able to kind of reset a little bit and I don't know, maybe talk a little bit about what the actual activity is near the fire line now?
Well, I can't speak to the fire line itself. The Parks Wildfire crews are the ones that are managing that incident. For our crews, like I said, it helps them. We've been working to demobilize a lot of the structural protection equipment around the town site. We were able to demobilize a lot of the structural protection crews and get them back to their own stations across the province. And it allows our residents or our firefighters to actually get their own personal matters taken care of as well too. So it allows us, we're focusing now back on business continuity for our staff, and allowing them to schedule proper shifts, get their time off and their rest in so they can attend to those personal matters, but still be able to provide 24/7 emergency response coverage for the residents.
And I'd like to ask the same question that I asked Mayor Ireland. I know that you lost your home. How are you coping? How are you handling this?
It's an ongoing process for sure. Like I said, we've been, obviously, when I'm not here at the incident, dealing with the incident, we're working with insurance companies and that to kind of get that process started. We're currently also looking for temporary housing for ourselves and my family. So again, that's an ongoing process. It's difficult, obviously, and challenging to manage, but we're not alone. There's multiple people, our mayor and our incident commander as well too, right? And we have hundreds of residents that are kind of in the same position. So, we're kind of all working together to be able to provide those solutions and help each other out.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everybody.
Christine, can I just ask?
So we're just going to cut questions now. Unfortunately,